Hello everyone, welcome back to another video presented by GM Revolution. Today we're going to be talking about why hydration is key for the skin. And this is a topic that is very relevant right now as we are just entering the cold months, especially here in the Midwest. For me personally, this is when I start to have to really focus on keeping my skin hydrated and looking good all day. So with that being said, I want to introduce myself. My name is Michael McGuire, the CEO of GM Revolution. We are a professional men's skincare line that is dedicated to normalizing men's skin health. My background, I'm going to share with you how I got into the skincare industry, but first I want to share with you a little bit of my experience beforehand. My professional background was in mechanical engineering and entrepreneurship, which were two big passions of mine. I wanted to find a way to really take those critical thinking skills and problem solving skills, combine it with my passion for entrepreneurship to really solve real world problems that matter. And a huge problem that is going on right now is the issue of men not taking care of their skin properly. So that's where GM Revolution comes into play. For me, how I got into the skincare industry, I was fortunate enough to have a mother who she owned her own salon when I was younger. And I like to think back when I was a young kid, 13 years old, who just really started having acne problems, and a lot of my friends started having these skin issues. But while they were out struggling, for me, I was already getting weekly clay masks and a facial treatment in a facial room. And I really laugh about what that image looks like. But for me, this was entirely normal. I was my mom's guinea pig when it came to any new products that she wanted to develop. And I really got interested in skincare at a young age. And it wasn't until I moved away that I realized that most men were not as fortunate as me. And that is where the concept of education comes into play. So at GM Revolution, we are normalizing men's skin by educating men on proper ways to take care of their skin. Like I said, my background is in engineering. I'm a man of science. I emphasize that GM Revolution is about treating skin from the holistic science perspective and really treating the skin as the largest organ in the body that it is. So, what you can expect today. I'm going to start by giving a little overview of men's skin health and hydration specifically. I'm going to talk about why it's necessary to keep the skin hydrated. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about GM Revolution's moisturizer and our hyaluronic acid. But before I really dive into this presentation, I want to highlight our mission statement. Now, this was a very carefully crafted statement that I believe really summarizes everything that we stand for at GM Revolution. Here, we know that a men's skincare line cannot change the world, but we've seen time and time again that it can change people and people can change the world. That is what our products are meant to be. I like to say that our products are the secret weapon that a man uses to go and take on whatever it is he puts his mind forward to. For me personally, the best moments of the day are when I have just showered and just finished my skincare routine, and I look in the mirror right before I'm about to head out the door, and I look in the mirror and I'm confident and comfortable with the person that I am. And that is the magic of, and I don't want to say magic either, because that is just the power of men taking care of their skin. The duality of men's skincare is that not only are we treating skin physically, but it also creates a mental health strength in the way that men see themselves. And this is very powerful, and we see it time and again in our clients and the people that use our products. They put their best foot forward and just overall more confident in who they are. So, with that being said, let's dive into this. So, where is the state of men's skincare? Specifically, how do men moisturize? These are some things that I've heard from multiple men. This first one, I just use water. Now, when we're talking about moisturizing, we're going to dive into the importance of water, but they're using this in the stance that this is their cleanser. Water is just their cleanser. And I've got a whole video on the importance of a men's daily cleanser where I really break down the science of why this is important and how a proper cleanser flushes out our pores of that toxin. But the current state, the current reality is that a lot of men just think that they can get away with water. Another one, I won't use a lotion. They think that a lotion is overly feminine, or they won't buy a lotion that is the packaging is marketed towards women. And we're going to touch a little bit about the concept of masculinity further on in this presentation. But that's just another thing that I hear about men. And then really diving into a real issue that a lot of men have. They say, I have oily and dry skin. What do I do? This is where the concept of education comes into play. For me personally, I also have oily and dry skin. In fact, men are more likely to have oily skin. But as we're getting into these winter months up ahead, especially in the Midwest, now I am also suffering from dry skin as well. But I'm used to having oily skin. Now I've got dry skin. What do I do? We're going to answer all of these questions as we go on. So now we've talked about how men's skincare is indeed an emerging marketing trend. It is projected to grow significantly, especially in the future upcoming years. And the reason this is because men are finally talking about the importance of skincare and self-care. Now, this is where the concept of masculinity comes into play. There's a big hump to get over when it comes to a man actually treating himself. And this is, for me, like I said, I talked about my background, and I never dealt with this issue because I never knew anything different. But that's not the reality of most men. And for any men out there that are also as passionate about skin as I am, I'm not trying to overgeneralize that men typically don't take care of their skin. I'm just pointing out the fact that the reality is there is a gap between men that don't actually know how or why it is even important to take care of their skin. But fortunately, this concept of masculinity, this definition, is being changed, and this conversation is happening in a lot of important circles. As a result, hot topics such as mental health, self-care, even men's skincare, these conversations are finally being talked about, and that is really just driving the whole purpose and the whole reason of why GM Revolution is here. We're here to normalize men's skincare, but the only way to do this is through educating them on why it is important in the first place. We have these marketing agencies that are preaching why you only need a 3-in-1 skincare to take care of everything from head to toe, and while this can be seen as a huge competition for a professional men's line, at GM Revolution, we know that the real competition for us is men that are not using skincare at all, the men that are just simply washing their face with water. And the only reason a man would do that is because he doesn't know any different. You can't blame someone that does not know the difference. So as professionals, it is our job to educate the consumer on why skincare is not only necessary, but how to properly take care of the science and the health of your skin. So, as professionals, we are going to cross that bridge together. We are going to cross that gap and bridge that gap together. So, a little more about some men's skincare overview, and this is some common issues that we see with a lot of our male clients. Men typically produce more oil. Men age quickly, developing wrinkles and fine lines. One thing that's actually interesting about this, men age quickly, but to be honest, humans age quickly. It is a natural aging process. I actually have a full video all about the power of anti-aging ingredients and what GM Revolution is doing in that category, so be sure to check that out as well. But the truth is that aging is a natural human process. If we didn't age, that's what it means to be human. At the end of the day, we live, we age, we grow old. With old age comes wisdom, but it also comes wrinkles and fine lines. But the interesting part about this with men is that men will typically age very slow, especially compared to women, from the eyes down. And this is because they routinely shave. And when we're shaving, we're exfoliating that top dead layer of our skin. And we're really what men, if they're especially not even used to having a daily cleanser, shaving is a great first step to get into really taking care of the health of our skin. But men also age from the eyes up, and we see, especially in men, a lot of aging right around the eyes and on the foreheads. More skin issues, skin changes depending on the season. This is something I've dealt with my entire life. So when it comes to hydration specifically, a man may ask, well, why would I use an oil to stay hydrated when I have dry skin? We're going to touch on why this is important in a couple more slides. And then finally, another skin issue is medication, and health issues can really impact our moisture system. We're talking about hydration. We're talking about that natural system that keeps our skin looking hydrated throughout the day. There are certain medications and health issues that can impact this moisture system. Alrighty, anytime we are talking about hydration, the only place to start is with talking about water. What water's doing is we're flushing that toxin out of our body. What you're looking at below is a picture of a typical pore. Now, per square inch of skin on our bodies, we have 2,800 pores and openings in our skin. That is incredible. And so what these tiny pores are doing, that's that first layer of our skin, and that is exposed to every environment around us. So what you can see highlighted in there are those things clinging to the walls of the pore, as you can see. Those are toxins. And so what water is going to do, they're going to enter that pore and flush that toxin out. Now, another great part about hydration and water is that it helps to fight infection. Specifically with skin issues, another big common issue is acne. By drinking water, we're keeping our skin hydrated, which is going to therefore fight that infection and flush those toxins out. Just think of every other part of your body of why water is necessary. It's helping with digestion. You can't properly digest unless you're drinking enough water. And as mentioned before, we're supporting that natural moisture system. When it comes to that natural moisture system, the one thing that the body cannot do, we have a finite amount of moisture that it can produce. Any product that we use, we can't replace that natural moisture system. What we can do is support it. And all of these products that we're going to be talking about in the future, they're supporting that natural moisture system. We can't recreate what the body does naturally, but we can support it. And drinking enough water is a great first step to do that. Now, a lot of people, whether you're thinking that water, the consumption of water, I guess I should say, is talked about a lot and how much is actually necessary. Some people say it's based on your body weight. Some people say it's based on just a typical eight glasses a day. Well, I remember back in the day, I thought that the recommended amount of water was however much you weigh in pounds is how many ounces you should be drinking. I don't know where I thought I read that, but I tried it for a day, and I think I drowned my entire internal organs, drank a little too much water that day. So for the purpose of this talk, to break any confusion, don't want to play with numbers, just remember, drink 8 glasses of water a day. That is sufficient enough. But when we say that, it's interesting that a lot of the clients that we talk to and the customers we deal with, and I'm sure all of you professionals, when you talk to your clients, you realize that they're not even getting 8 glasses of water a day. And that's why it's important as a professional to understand where your client is coming from. You need to understand how much water they're drinking, what their diet looks like, what are their stress levels, what are they dealing with. It's only when we know that whole story can we really understand what is going on in their skin. So moving forward, why hydration is key. Like I said, we need to drink enough water. That's what's going to flush the toxins out of our body. Also, when we're dealing with skin, we have to remember that skin is an organ. It is the largest organ of our body. It's the first line of defense against the environment around us. And any organ is made up of thousands and thousands of cells. So when we're treating skin and we're treating an organ, we're actually treating the cell. The cell is that fundamental building block of any living organism. So we have to give what the cell needs. We have to care for the cell in order to care for our bodies. And what that means, the cell needs water, and we need to keep that cell hydrated. That is why hydration is necessary, because it's necessary for a healthy living cell. Finally, whenever we're talking about hydration, what we're trying to do is we're trying to topically duplicate what the body does internally. This goes back to that natural moisturizing system that our body does originally inside our body. The body is such an amazing, just overall, just an amazing, I don't even know what to call it. It's a miracle of what our body can do. And whenever we're treating skin, we need to try to topically duplicate what the body does internally. And there's some great products that do this, and we're going to talk about that later on. Also, with hydration, whenever we're drinking enough water, whenever we're keeping the skin hydrated, we're improving the elasticity of our skin. And this goes so much further than just fighting dry skin. This fights premature aging. We don't want sagging skin. Whenever our skin is hydrated, our skin is tight, our skin is full, it's more plump, and that is what healthy skin looks like. So it's all about treating skin from the basic cell structure and giving the cell what it needs to be healthy. With that being said, I want to introduce you to GM Revolution's Moisturizer. Now, this is a great product and something that, especially now as we're getting into the colder season, this is an absolutely necessary product for any man that suffers from dry skin. Now, this moisturizer is made from a highly refined oil. It moisturizes, it diminishes fine lines, it heals, and it's also a great beard conditioner. Now, if you remember that problem I addressed earlier on, a lot of men say, I have oily and dry skin. How do I help this? Or another issue is, since men typically do produce more oil, why would they use another oil to treat? Why would they want to moisturize their skin? That's where the power of the highly refined oil comes into play. This oil is vitamin E based, and which is going to heal the skin, not only keep it hydrated, but really work to heal the skin. And so what this oil is going to do is we're going to hydrate it, but also this is why it's important to use a moisturizer even if you have oily skin. What it's going to do, it's still going to heal the skin and diminish those fine lines. So for me, if I had oily skin, especially around the cheek here, it's still going to heal these lines, my forehead wrinkles, it's still going to diminish those lines even if I have oily skin. That's why it's a highly refined oil. It's not going to cause you to break out anymore. It's not going to make your skin more oily. It's just going to be giving the skin what it needs to be healthy and really heal it. Also, it is a great beard conditioner. As you saw in the picture on the slide before, a lot of men, great looking beards, we love to see it. But one thing that happens is men, they think that a beard or long facial hair can cover up any problems that the skin is showing underneath. This is a big problem when it comes to the health of your skin. And what this beard conditioner is going to do, using a moisturizer as a beard conditioner, you're going to heal the skin underneath. You're going to keep supplying moisture to the skin, but at the same time, it makes your beard, it gives that extra shine. But the most important thing is you're healing the skin beneath. You're going below that layer of facial hair, which is super important. We don't want to neglect something just because it's hidden underneath a great looking beard. Next up, I want to introduce GM Revolution's Hyaluronic Acid. Now, hyaluronic acid is a great product, and we're seeing a huge trend in especially women's skincare of this product being really highlighted, and it's a really innovative product. But we at GM Revolution, we want to bring it to men. Men are ready to take their skincare to the next level. So, what makes hyaluronic acid unique? What it's doing, like I said before, we want to topically duplicate what the skin does internally. And so what we want to do is we want to retain the moisture in the skin. With all of those 2,800 openings and those pores per square inch of skin, we are constantly perspiring. 24 hours a day, even in cold weather, we are constantly perspiring and releasing toxins, but we're also releasing moisture. And so there's a finite amount of what our bodies can naturally produce. There's a finite amount of moisture. So what this hyaluronic acid is doing, it's retaining that moisture in the skin. We don't want products that just simply sit on top of that first layer of skin. We want products that are going to go deep into the skin, into those second layers, and really heal the skin from within. And that's exactly what this hyaluronic acid is doing. Because it's water-based, because it's pH balanced, we're really duplicating what that skin is trying to do, what our body's trying to do originally and naturally, and we're really just supporting that natural moisture system. Also, what this hyaluronic acid is going to do, it's going to speed wound healing. I love it for evening skin tone. Underneath the eyes, it works miracles of lightening that skin, getting rid of dark circles. It's going to plump the skin, making it look fuller and healthier. And finally, it is the great last step in a skincare routine. This is, remember what I said, it's a last step because it's going to retain moisture. It's going to retain everything. We don't want just products just sitting on the top layer. We want to retain everything. That's why it's a great last step, because whatever you did before, if it's a cleanser, the moisturizing oil, if you're using an anti-aging serum, what we're going to do by finishing off the hyaluronic acid, we're going to retain all of that product within our skin. So for me personally, my personal morning skincare routine, it starts with a daily cleanser. I've got a great video about the importance of a daily cleanser and why it's so important for men to be introduced to that. The next step, I use that highly refined moisturizing oil. It's great just to start healing those lines, and I always finish with the hyaluronic acid, just to keep all of those products where they're meant to be and really healing the skin from within. So, moving forward, what you can see are some before and afters of what we're talking about when it comes to healing the skin and what it comes to diminishing those fine lines. Now, in this picture, as you're seeing, a man typically does have more oily skin, but when we're using a cleanser and finishing it off with the moisturizer and hyaluronic acid, you can see that his skin does not look over oily. And what we're looking at is that diminished fine line, especially up by the nose. We're seeing an increased skin tone right under those eyes there. It's looking fantastic. And we're also seeing that pore size decrease. What that cleanser is doing in the morning is it's closing that pore size, it's plumping the skin. So is the hyaluronic acid, so is the moisturizer. And what these products are doing, those are three products working as one to give the skin exactly what it needs. So if you ever want to learn more, where you can find us. First of all, any information about us can be found on GM Revolution's website, gmrevolution.com. You can reach out to us if you ever want to talk skin, if you ever have a question. Just reach out to us at info@gmrevolution.com. We are here for all of your skincare needs. We know that life is a journey, skincare is a journey, and GM Revolution is here for you on that journey. Follow us on our social media. Our tags are at GM Revolution Skin for any daily tips, skincare tips, daily motivation, all things skincare. Follow us there. And then finally, I want to introduce you to our podcast. We have a podcast called Be the Revolution Podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And what we're doing here is we're highlighting men that are being positive agents of change in their community. Like I said, skincare cannot change the world, but it can change people, and people can change the world. We believe that everyone has a story that deserves to be told, and that's what the podcast is about. So, for some super inspirational stories, be sure to check out that podcast. And then finally, I love to end any presentation by challenging my listeners to be the revolution. Revolutions take many forms, but whatever it is an intentional act to make the world a better place. And GM Revolution wants to be with you on that journey. We want to be that secret weapon to go take on the day and achieve whatever you set your mind to. So, with that being said, challenge you to be the revolution. Alrighty, that's all for this. Thank you.